Welcome back to AV Veterans Talk. We're continuing our conversation with this week's guests, Mike and Cindy. So we're back here talking to Cindy and Mike about Eli. And a week from Saturday, you'll have a celebration of life, and you'll be at the post there in Palmdale. And I'm sure there'll be standing room only.
I have a feeling.
You have a good following, and if you have that much connection to the Antelope Valley, I'm sure the family and friends are massive, And what really is another blessing to a lot of us that is part of the greatest generation. And, you too, reflections on the fact that now Dad was always with you. There's no doubt about that. This is only one of those things we deal with in life. But when Saving Private Ryan came out, and we started working on the World War II Memorial back in Washington D.C., and people started to take a step back and say, "Boy, that generation really had their act together." Was there ever that moment or realization that he's bigger than life? He's part of this.
Oh, always. Because he shared a lot of his experiences with us when we were growing up, and he had where my brother's planes would fly over because we live in what was in the flight pattern for Lockheed and everything, and Mike and my little brother Jeff would both be able to. Oh, hey, there goes I believe that they knew what they were talking about.
Yeah.
Dad, can you tell us about that? No, it's top secret.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it was cool, and he was very open. If we had questions about anything he'd done, especially boys were really into that. Then he was very honest. I mean, he probably padded up some of what he told us,
and downplayed a lot of the bad.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, once again, that's the aspect that I deal with. Hospice, healthcare, some of the hospice programs that the family can't understand why I never heard these stories, but to a perfect stranger, they'll share the heart because they don't want their kids to know these ugly things that they experienced and saw, and that's something really private, and that's where. Once again, like a Legion post or a VFW, that's why what was important to those guys. How we were talking about the therapy and the guys today, the PTSD, the Legion posts and the VFWs, that was where that generation went to interact with their generation and find, healing, by common stories with these guys. And, it's neat, the young guy and the daughter there, and you're in high school or whatever, and you have to do a history project. You need to write a paper on somebody and things like that. And now looking back, and we used to choose just kind of crazy subject matters and think like, gosh,
I could have used my dad.
Yeah, you could use your dad, and it would have been one of those things today. People, their jaw would have dropped and said, "He did what? He did what?" And that's amazing.
It is.
And we see it on the big screen and the way it's portrayed, and then you think it's just Dad. It's just Dad's generation. Superheroes don't wear capes; they wore pinks and greens, and flight suits, and navy hats, and khakis and camouflage, and they did amazing things and stuff.
And what poopy suits when they'd work on stuff?
Yeah,
they call them poopy suits.
Yeah. So it was the neatest thing. And did you ever did he get a chance to go back and visit the World War II Memorial back in Washington D.C. or not?
No, he didn't.
And I really feel tough because he could have gone for free. He could have gone on an honor flight. And some guys look at that and think like, it's not that big of a deal. But when you get back there and you stand in the presence of it, and to think that we as a nation built that for people like your dad, and to let future generations know that. You don't take anything for granted, and you look what just the farm boy, the city kid, and the women and stuff. And I denounced the women stuff, what they were capable of.
Oh, I know you stepped up to it.
Yeah, you really did.
And faced it.
And your own children, they're pretty tuned into Eli's history and legacy.
They've always asked a lot of questions. And he was
Yeah.
Very honest with them.
You were telling me that you have his flight jacket. And
Mm-hmm.
does he have any other memorabilia that he kept from his
Campaign
service?
medals,
Yeah.
the ribbons. I was going to do one of the boxes where you can see
Shadow
both
boxes.
sides. I haven't done it yet. I
Yeah.
wish I'd have got it done before he passed.
Yeah, but you still have that, and once again as a family, how cool
I
is
have
that?
a Nazi flag with a big swastika that's half chewed up and burned up that he brought back.
Wow, and some of that stuff nowadays is not politically correct anymore.
No.
It's so fun to see that, and you're just amazed because at that time, that's what he was. His, that was his trophy.
Mm-hmm.
Because he defeated this evil in the world.
Right.
He was a part of that. And I just it's like I said, I'm humbled, and you guys coming in and being a part of this and sharing this. What is your message to future generations about your dad? What would you like them? People. This will go on the internet, and it'll live out in the cyber world till we no longer have electricity, I guess, and stuff.
I would say for kids that have older parents or grandparents, ask those questions. Let them be honest with them and tell their stories so they could pass those stories down to their children and their children's children.
Yeah.
That way you don't lose that essence of something that happened way back with a relative.
Yeah.
And it's just important historically and just family also.
Yeah.
To know those things. And, nothing's wrong with serving your country.
No.
Step up and do that too.
Yeah.
Kids should be more prouder
Yes.
of our country now.
Yeah,
because
it's like they've kind of lost that.
in
a
World War
little bit.
II, I don't even think they had a draft. That was all people just flat joined, didn't they?
Yeah, well, they started the draft with the what I call it, the bingo parlor
Oh,
ball drop.
that's right.
But you remember there was that rush that was secondary because you know what? We're standing in line. I go, the minute that happened, I mean, it's like your dad. You didn't have to draft your dad and stuff like I said. He was the minute he graduated from high school.
He went
sounds
out there,
like
Yeah.
he says like I'm good to go.
Same with my kids when they joined up. My daughter went straight out of high school
Mm-hmm.
and went in, and I'm like, what are you doing? And
Yeah.
she went in. She had her sights set on one thing, and they take so many in for different areas.
Yeah.
And they said, well, sorry, that's not open. What else do you want? She goes, well, how about construction? Because
Yeah.
CB's do the construction.
Yeah.
And the guy said, yeah, but you're a girl, so
Oh,
it was on
man.
then. She had two
Oh,
older brothers,
well, she's
so
tough.
she was ready. She's tough as right.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got some stories to tell too.
I bet. And just, once again, let's talk about your family there. So,
Yeah.
because you have the daughter, it's a CD,
And then my son's on a nuclear sub.
and then your son's serving on the nuclear subs, which that duty. Somebody, if he's ever in town, I'd love to just pick his. I know there's certain things people in those fields don't talk about and things like that. But I had some World War II submariners that said like it was like duty on a sewer pipe. And stuff.
It was weird because I went
yeah.
on the Pennsylvania. I got cleared and was able to tour that, and also the Seawolf. And going from a boomer, where the bunks are set in between the silos, and I was like, holy cow!
man.
That, if you're gonna go,
That's a heck of an alarm clock.
and then to the Seawolf when he was on the USS Seawolf, that's like a tin can compared to the boomer.
Yeah.
And that was an eye opener, and it just, as a mother, I had to kind of step back for a minute because then you want to, oh God, my baby, no.
Yeah.
But
and the deployments that they go out on stuff are quite lengthy.
The
They
boomers
are.
are.
Yeah.
Fast attack are shorter.
Yeah.
mhm.
So, and you don't hear anything.
You don't, but I would, because my son is married, has 3 boys, so he would call his wife and say, hey, I'm here. Or he would post some pictures sometimes on Face Messenger or whatever, because they ended up in Scotland when they went over. And, of course, he's a foodaholic, so look what I'm eating, so he'd have postings of that. And, it's good. Got to travel a lot.
Yeah.
And brought the kids, all the nieces and nephews back a vial of water from the North Pole, so they're like, "Oh, Santa Claus water!" They were all excited. So yeah,
That's neat. And you have a couple sons
Mhm.
that are serving.
Yeah,
Or,
Eli's on, like I said, on the sub. He's been out. He's been the last year because they're going to commission in another year the new Norfolk, so they're all working on that. And my son Ryan, I remember one time when he was in Iraq, he could call home on his cell phone. He had it back there. He was on top of the guard shack. And mom, blah blah blah. And all of a sudden, you hear boom, boom, boom. I gotta go, mom, and hung up. And we didn't hear from him for a couple of days, but that was our artillery going out. There wasn't stuff coming in, but we didn't.
You didn't know
my
that.
God.
Yeah. Wow. That's just gonna be nerve
Heart
wracking like
attack
crazy.
stuff there.
So, wow, that's ideal. And they're still, sir, your boys are still in.
My younger boy Ryan's out, and he's in the elevators union now.
Okay.
Elevator builders union.
Wow, that's a nice trade to be in.
Yes.
That's very good. So, so we're going to take our last break here, and we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit about the celebration that's coming up, and we'll finish it up with that. So, we'll be right back here. AV Veterans Talk. For this week's segment of AV Veterans Talk,